Welcome to the Soothing Spark. This is permission to pause, a gentle beginning to burnout relief. Before we begin, take a moment to celebrate the fact that you are here. You gave yourself permission to pause and focus on you, and that is the hardest part of this entire journey. There's nothing you need to do here, nothing to prepare for. This space exists for relief, safety, and understanding. This program is crafted as a gentle entry point to help you slow down and find relief. It's not about rushing through or checking off boxes. Instead, it's about giving yourself the space to breathe deeply. I encourage you to spend about a week with each portal. Pause. Allow those insights to really sink in before moving forward. If you notice yourself trying to move faster, that's completely normal and so common in the world we live in today. This space invites you to gently disrupt that cycle. Remember, this isn't just another task. It's your permission to exhale. Move slowly. Let it all settle. That's truly the point here. Take a moment to read those words again. Let them really resonate. Welcome to Module 2. Your nervous system is trying to help. Let's begin by naming an important truth. Your body is not the enemy. It isn't working against you or trying to sabotage you. It's simply responding to everything that it has been carrying. Stress responses are not flaws to fix. They're signals, information your system uses to communicate what it needs. As you move through this module, consider this. What if these responses are not problems at all, but insights? Learning to understand and listen to these signals is a powerful step towards relief, steadiness, and healing. Our nervous systems are wired for protection. They don't stop to evaluate whether something is fair, meaningful, or comfortable. They just respond automatically. When something feels like too much, your nervous system moves in to protect you. This is a normal human response, not a problem to fix. You're not broken. Your nervous system is simply responding to something that feels off. Our nervous system responds to pressure based on how it perceives it. These reactions are not reflections of your character or identity, though. They are instinctive patterns that your body uses to protect you. They're not flaws to fix. They are natural responses designed to keep you safe. As you begin to understand these patterns, it becomes easier to work with them and to create more compassion for yourself and for others. You may already be familiar with the 4 common nervous system responses. When your system shifts into survival mode, you might notice irritability or frustration or the urge to push harder than usual. This is often called fight. Or you might experience flight as restlessness, constant busyness, and distraction. At other times, you may freeze entirely with exhaustion, numbness, or feeling stuck. And sometimes it shows up as fawn, over-accommodating, people-pleasing, or putting your needs aside just to keep the peace. These are not personality flaws again. They are protective patterns. These are natural responses when our nervous system senses too much pressure. Noticing them is not something to judge. It's how we begin to understand what our bodies have been doing to keep us safe. These responses are not conscious decisions. They happen automatically and often before we have time to think or plan. Remember, these reactions are not a sign of weakness. They're our body's way of keeping us safe. And when we recognize that these patterns are not deliberate choices, it becomes easier to meet them with compassion and understanding. When your system is overwhelmed, even the smallest task can feel heavy. Simple decisions start to carry more weight than they should. Motivation fades, and even resting can feel strangely difficult. This isn't a mindset problem. It's your body conserving energy and protecting you from further strain. And there's nothing wrong with feeling this way. It's a natural response to being overwhelmed. As we continue, let's clear up a common misconception. Stress responses are often mistaken for a lack of discipline, but discipline alone doesn't restore depleted capacity. When your capacity is low, even small efforts cost more because your system is already stretched so thin. This isn't about pushing harder. It's about recognizing your limits and knowing when to pause and recharge. Naming this opens the door to a more compassionate approach, one that supports your system instead of demanding more from it. Here's an important distinction. Stress itself is not the problem. Stress is a natural part of being human. The challenge arises when our system doesn't have the chance to reset, when activation outweighs recovery. Over time, constant activation without restoration leads to burnout. I'm going to say that again. Over time, constant activation or action without restoration or rest leads to burnout. So the goal is not to eliminate stress because that isn't really necessary or realistic. The goal is to help your system recover, reset, and respond more sustainably. It's not about living a stress-free life. It's about pausing to create a space for recuperation. Now let's talk about self-control a bit. Many of us assume that managing stress means tightening our grip on our emotions. But here's the truth. We don't need more control. We don't need to optimize our reactions or fix our nervous system. What actually creates relief is understanding, learning how we respond and why. As we begin to explore our patterns, that space opens up. Not because we're controlling ourselves better, but because we're understanding and relating to ourselves differently. This isn't about stronger self-control, it's about insight. And insight is what supports a steadier, more resilient system. Our nervous systems naturally prioritize safety. Remember, fight, flight, freeze, and fawn? Every response we have is our system choosing what it believes will keep us safe in that moment. These are subconscious strategies, not failures. And that matters because it means we don't have to judge them. We can just begin to notice them. Common strategies often show up as pushing forward, avoiding, or shutting down. Each one of those is a response that our system may use when they sense threat or overwhelm. Noticing these patterns as they arise is already meaningful. Awareness is the first step towards understanding. And understanding is what allows change to happen with more compassion and less force. Let's take a moment to explore the role of understanding and self-acceptance. When we stop fighting our natural responses, something begins to soften, and that shift can be quietly transformative. Notice what happens when you start to release labels like too much or not enough. Your nervous system has room to relax a bit. Tension eases, space opens. Understanding isn't just intellectual insight. It's actually a form of rest, a pause. It creates space for relief without requiring effort or change. And while understanding ourselves is an ongoing process, it's also one of the gentlest ways to cultivate steadiness and inner peace. Take a moment to let this all really sink in. There's no need for any complex techniques or exercise here. Right now, It's about acknowledging and accepting where you are in this moment. It's about recognizing that your system has been on your side, working to protect you all along. Let this realization bring a sense of comfort. This understanding by itself is enough for now. Let's hold this thought close as we continue. Now let's pause for a moment for this reflection. When you feel overwhelmed, what might your system be trying to protect you from? Simply notice what comes up. No internal judgment, no fixing. These responses are your system's way of communicating information about your boundaries and needs. Acknowledging them can bring clarity to what your nervous system is asking for right now. There's nothing wrong with noticing how you feel or with sitting with those feelings for a bit. That's part of being human. You are not alone in this, and pausing, even briefly, is a meaningful form of self-care. Over the next week, simply notice your thoughts and how your body responds. There's nothing to change or fix right now. Remember, this is about awareness, not action. Think of it as pressing pause in the middle of your day, creating space to listen without judgment or urgency. As you notice, you may begin to understand your emotions and physical sensations in a new way. This gentle observing is enough. Just listen to what your nervous system is signaling to you. This is the pause.